The protagonist, portrayed by Ryan Gosling, resides in an apartment located in Echo Park, Los Angeles, leading a nameless existence with minimal indications of a personal life. His communication is sparse, emotions rarely surfacing. By day, he earns his living repairing cars and executing stunts for Hollywood films, while by night, he serves as a getaway driver for criminals. His mentor and employer, Shannon, played by Bryan Cranston, facilitates his access to vehicles despite being a physically impaired and faded figure in the body shop industry. During criminal escapades, his role is strictly confined to driving. He neither orchestrates heist plans nor carries firearms. Instead, he allocates a 5-minute time frame for clients to execute their tasks and swiftly return to the vehicle. If they adhere to this window, he assures a secure and successful escape. In a nondescript apartment complex, he occupies a sparsely adorned room adjacent to Irene, portrayed by Carey Mulligan, an appealing young woman and her 6-year-old son, Benicio, played by Caden Leos. Their acquaintance begins when he assists Irene with her broken-down car, leading to an invitation into her home. Over a simple conversation and a glass of water, she shares her situation. Her husband, Standard, portrayed by Oscar Isaac, is incarcerated, leaving her to raise their son alone. In the meantime, Shannon has a bold plan in mind. He's seeking a hefty loan of $300,000 from Bernie Rose, a multifaceted character known both as a movie producer and a local gangster with a knack for risky investments. Shannon's goal? To channel this substantial sum into the purchase and preparation of a high-performance race car, a venture he envisions the enigmatic driver taking on with his unparalleled skill behind the wheel. But this proposal isn't without its hurdles. Bernie Rose, though intrigued by the potential payoff, remains a cautious investor, requiring convincing evidence of the driver's capabilities. This leads to a nerve-wracking trial run at a nearby racetrack, where the driver's prowess leaves an indelible mark on Rose, ultimately swaying him to back the risky endeavor. However, not everyone is sold on the idea. Nino, a formidable figure in Bernie's circle, harbors doubts about the driver and the entire scheme. His imposing presence and ruthless demeanor cast a shadow of skepticism over the venture, adding a layer of tension and uncertainty to Shannon's ambitious plans. The driver increasingly accompanies Irene and Benicio, forming a sincere connection with Benicio, while an unspoken romantic chemistry brews between him and Irene. Unexpectedly, Irene learns from her husband's attorney that he will be released from prison in a week. Upon Standard's return, he reveals remorse for his past actions. Irene and the driver grapple with the inevitable conclusion of their fleeting romance. When Standard notices Irene conversing with the driver, he detects a shift, but embraces the driver rather than feeling threatened. One day, the driver discovers Standard severely beaten in the parking lot of their building. The assailants are revealed to be from Standard's former employer, Cook, seeking retribution for his protection in prison by coercing him into orchestrating a daytime pawn shop heist. Concerned for Irene and Benicio's safety if Standard refuses, the driver volunteers his assistance. Cook discloses that the pawn shop is anticipated to yield approximately $40,000 in cash, promising Standard his freedom upon successful completion of the job. Accompanying the driver and Standard is Blanche, an associate of Cook, portrayed by Christina Hendricks. As the driver waits in the parking lot, he notices another vehicle pull up at a distance. Shortly after, Blanche emerges with a weighty bag, and they await Standard's return. Unexpectedly, Standard rushes out and is fatally shot by the pawn shop owner. Reacting swiftly, the driver speeds away from the scene, pursued by the car from the parking lot. Through skillful maneuvers, the driver evades their pursuers and narrowly escapes harm. Taking refuge in a motel afterward, the driver makes a startling discovery. The stolen loot amounts to $1 million, far more than expected. While watching a news report on the pawn shop robbery, which oddly doesn't mention any stolen items, the driver grows suspicious. He confronts Blanche, coercing her to divulge her complicity in the scheme with Cook, whose real name is Chris. As Blanche receives a call in the bathroom, the driver realizes she's betrayed them to Chris, who dispatches hitmen to their location. In the ensuing confrontation, one of the hitmen kills Blanche, prompting the driver to retaliate, eliminating both assailants and fleeing. Seeking retribution, the driver heads to a local strip joint to confront Chris. Employing force, he coerces Chris into revealing that Nino orchestrated the heist and plotted to eliminate both Standard and the driver. The stolen money belongs to the East Coast mob, and Nino fears reprisal if the theft is traced back to him. Consequently, Nino schemes to eliminate anyone connected to the heist, including Shannon, Irene, Benicio, and the driver. Reluctantly agreeing to Nino's plan, Bernie Rose, a mob associate, executes Chris for deviating from the original plan of eliminating the driver. The driver offers Irene the money as a means for her and her son to escape the city, but she reacts with offense, slapping him in response to his gesture. While conversing, they are interrupted by the arrival of Nino's hitman in the apartment elevator. Sensing danger, the driver pulls Irene into the elevator, realizing the hitman's intent. In a moment of adrenaline-fueled action, the driver passionately kisses Irene before swiftly disarming and incapacitating the hitman, leaving Irene shaken by the sudden violence. Meanwhile, despite the driver's warning, Shannon fails to flee town in time, falling victim to Rose's lethal visit to his garage. Discovering his friend's lifeless body amidst a pool of blood, the driver is consumed by grief and resolve. Determined to avenge Shannon's death, he sets out in pursuit of Nino and Rose. Wearing a rubber mask, reminiscent of his film roles, the driver stealthily infiltrates Nino's pizza establishment, patiently awaiting Nino's departure. Once Nino exits and enters his vehicle, the driver tails him, orchestrating a calculated collision that sends Nino's car careening off a cliff onto a secluded beach. Despite the crash, Nino survives and attempts to flee, but the driver intercepts him, ultimately submerging him in the ocean until life slips away. Having eliminated Nino, the driver contacts Rose to relay the news of Nino's demise. Recognizing the driver's unwavering commitment to Irene and Benicio's safety, Rose proposes a meeting at a restaurant where the driver can exchange the money for their guaranteed protection. However, Rose warns the driver of the impending threat to his own life. Despite the peril, the driver agrees, prioritizing Irene and Benicio's safety above all else. In a final farewell gesture, the driver calls Irene to express his appreciation for the time spent together with her and Benicio, affirming that they won't be seeing him again. Later, the driver meets Rose at a restaurant, and together they head to the parking lot, where the driver fulfills his end of the deal by handing over the cash. As he gives it to him, Rose pulls a knife and stabs the driver in the stomach, but the driver pulls his own knife quickly and stabs Rose in the neck. The driver manages to get in his car and drive out of the parking lot, leaving Rose behind with an open bag of cash next to him. There's a shot of Irene standing outside knocking on the driver's apartment door, but he is not there. The final shot shows the driver cruising through the city streets at night, listening to music. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more film caps.